Well, guys, we're going to talk about animals that we could definitely do without. I should put a disclaimer on this one. I am so sorry for what's about, for what I'm about to talk about.
Well, and like we've done this episode a long time ago, so we were
Yeah.
like, oh, animals we could also do without because
Still.
there's plenty of animals on planet Earth that we could just do without.
Yeah, and
At least
this
personally.
one, yeah, right. And this one for me, I took an unexpected turn for mine because this stuff is
I
not.
think I'm gonna take heat.
Oh, really? This one I'm not gonna get heat for at all. But I also this is not something. This is not something that I normally talk about. This kind of stuff. So this should
Cool.
be good. Nature news. Let me think. I had stuff. Besides there being a red-footed booby in the Chesapeake Bay, I sent Laura that the other day. That's shocking.
Shocking. A ballista spider they discovered in Australia. Did you see that?
No.
I'm gonna do a video on it, but
Okay,
it's
okay.
about a spider that chews. He like spins this web. An ant comes by and chews on the bottom, and it gets stuck to it and flings like trebuchet
Yeah.
up towards the spider so that it can grab it. Newly discovered.
I have a coworker who she just broke some state records in weightlifting, and that was my plan for getting up to the 16th floor. Was the joke? Was I was like, you could literally just launch me because I'm like 112 pounds and she lifted like 400 pounds, which is
Just
nuts.
shot put you.
Yeah, that's what we said. I was like, just launch me up there. It's fine. I mean, it's always bird stuff with me. Because I should say
That's good enough.
it's always bird stuff because that's what people send me. So I heavily rely on people sending me nature news because I never remember to, and so that's when I'm normally like, oh yeah. So animals we could do without. Do you want to go first, Laura?
Sure, I do like to go first. Okay.
Because I need to have some more wine before I talk about mine.
Insect or amphibian? Which do you decide?
Do amphibian.
Okay. I could do without the hairy frog.
Oh yeah.
Also known as the horror frog. So look that one up.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
Accurately named.
Everybody's like, Laura's the frog girl. Not this one.
Not this
Creepy.
frog. Yeah.
This one and that what's the
ones out its back.
The one in the back.
Yeah.
Nope, can't even go there. But okay, a little bit of natural history behind this hairy frog. So it's about 4 inches long, typical frog body, nothing like crazy looking really. Mostly brown with dark colored banding and face markings. It lives in fast moving water of tropical Central Africa. Like all frogs, they're carnivorous, eating a wide variety of invertebrates. And they're mostly terrestrial except during the breeding season. But here's why it makes me want to vomit.
I have a feeling that's what this whole thing is. At least for me, everything is like everything I'm going to vomit. It freaks me out and things I can't handle.
Well, that's why we could do without them.
Yeah.
Okay, so it has the name hairy frog for a reason. The male grows what looks like hair coming out the sides of its belly and thighs. It's unnatural.
Yeah, exactly. Frogs aren't meant to be. They're not literally not meant to be hairy. So whenever you see this, it doesn't.
And when you see it, it's not hair, and you know there's something wrong about it. Like it's not.
Yes.
If it was a furry frog, okay, maybe
Yeah.
I'd be on board with the furry frog. It's not furry.
Actually, it could be kind of cute if it was like a fuzzy, like an actual furry fuzzy. Yeah, all over frog.
Not the case. This is just its sides, and there's something wonky. So it isn't furry. It's horrifying. It isn't actually fur at all. It's really skin growths, like little skin growths, which is also a gross term.
That makes sense.
That contains arteries and veins to carry oxygen. It increases the overall surface area of the frog, allowing it to absorb enough oxygen under the water without needing to come up for air. So basically, it goes back to being a tadpole for a hot second. Like, got the little gillies.
Yeah,
and it's like, I'll just be under here. But instead of having face gills and being cute like an axolotl, it's like, I'll grow side hair.
Yeah, right. It's like evolution just decided, let's just move these down here a little bit.
Yeah,
like
onto his thighs, just hairy thighs. I spend most of my life fighting such a thing.
All right.
So the male, and the reason that this happens, why does it not want to come up for air? It's not just lazy, although I guess nobody's ever asked it. The male is responsible for guarding the clutch of eggs in the water, and they're attached underwater where it's, like I said, they live in fast-flowing streams. Yeah. So he's got to actually hunker down and hold on tight and not come up to breathe, not even for a second, or he's going to wash away from the eggs.
I guess we got to give him at least some props for being a good dad.
Right, a good dad. Yeah.
But you don't have to be creepy about it. Like,
Totally. Well, right, because why aren't other primarily aquatic frogs
frogs, yeah.
hairy?
Right?
There's plenty of frogs that live underwater
Okay,
most
but
of
it's
the
not
time.
just hairy,
Aren't like this.
it's skin hairy. It's skin
Yeah,
hair.
it's skin
Like, that's
hair.
worse.
They think that it's got to have to do with the oxygen demands of its lifestyle. So I guess the primarily aquatic frogs that are just chilling underwater, they don't need skin hair. But the ones that are holding on for dear life in fast flowing water,
They
they're
need
expending
skin
a
hair.
lot of energy and they need skin hair because it's the only way they can breathe. They're just like,
Yeah, right.
so
But also, again, evolution is like skin hair. We must have skin hair. That's what it goes to. Oh,
yeah.
ugh.
And thank goodness, though, the skin hair only does happen during the breeding season. So it's not hairy all the time. But as if being hairy wasn't bad enough, this psycho breaks its own bones, also giving it the nickname of the
Jeez.
Wolverine frog. Okay, so to fight, it breaks its own bones. So here's what happens. Ins- No, it's exactly like Wolverine. So inside the toes of this frog, there are these little anchor bones at the tips. And behind that is a sharp bone that,
Ah,
when threatened, the tendons and muscles
that's
break it
that's so gross.
off, right? And then the detached bone is curved like a cat's claw, so it punctures through the skin. So if you look
Ah.
at pictures, it's just got little claws coming out of its skin. And they
Guys,
can draw
I'm so
blood.
sorry. This is gonna be the worst episode we have
Or the best. This is gonna
ever
be
done.
good fodder for like
Oh my
lunch table
God.
conversation.
Right?
So they can actually draw blood, which is why people in Central Africa that hunt them do it with spears and machetes.
That's
Because even though
nuts.
it's a 4-inch
Frog.
frog that's
Yeah.
just jumping out of the water like whoosh, 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 whoosh,
Yeah.
whoosh, breaking its own
Jeez.
bones because it's so
That's
metal.
so gross.
But then once the muscles and the tendons relax, it's not that they retract back up in like a cat. They just passively get shoved back in and their bodies heal. So they can do it again another day. So
That's
skin hair
so-
during the breeding season, bone claws
But I
coming
mean,
out of their own skin the other times.
Can it I mean, do they have to ever defend themselves during the breeding season? Like, is it a twofer?
Probably. I don't know
mean,
if
it
it's
would
only
have
during the
to.
breeding season though. I think it's
Okay, okay.
any time they feel threatened.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
it's
Just
like
break
ready for
it.
action.
Yeah,
Breaking its
God.
own toes. It's so cool. It's so cool, but so weird. So again, like I'm amazed by this, but I could do without it.
I'll say, Jiminy Christmas.
I'll say.
That's so gross. That's so gross. Well, we may or may not have talked about botflies before, but we're going to talk to you about it again because we have a lot of new listeners. Yeah, we have a lot of new listeners that reach out to me. They're like, "Hey, I'm just finding your podcast. 135 countries, still not in freaking North Dakota." But still not North Dakota. I know. I'm this close to just buying a ticket. I actually looked up prices for tickets just to fly there, just to stop at the airport, listen to a few episodes, then turn around and leave. But it's like $700.
Did it?
So, yeah.
Yeah, not worth it.
All right. So, botflies. So, what's the worst thing a mosquito can give you? Obviously, not an itchy bite. Like I just said, talk about botflies. So, before we start blaming botflies for everything, let's actually talk about a little bit the science. So the species specifically that I'm talking about today is the human botfly, Dermatobia hominis.
Hey, that was good.
Well, I mean, it's very short words, so, I got it. So it's found primarily in tropical regions in Central and South America, where it normally is a parasite, and it parasitizes mammals, right? Including monkeys, cattle, dogs, and occasionally people. Now, here's the part that I think I'm going to talk about a little bit of misconceptions here, too, in a second here. And a lot of people think that the adult botfly is what bites you. But in fact, the adult stage is surprisingly short-lived. Most only live for about a week or two. And during that time, they're almost entirely focused on one thing: finding a mate and reproducing. That's about it. So they don't spend their days buzzing around looking for blood meals like mosquitoes do, right? They don't even spend much time eating at all because just banging it out because that's what they have to do. But it also explains, because they only have a couple weeks, it also explains why they're in such a hurry and almost desperate to do this, because they have a week. So All right, here's where things kind of go off the rails, right? Because everybody thinks you either get a mosquito bite or it's, just misconception. So the female botfly has figured out that chasing mammals around trying to lay eggs on them is a lot of work. So instead, she outsources that work like any smart woman would do. So she catches a mosquito in midair, mind you, or sometimes is biting a fly and occasionally even a tick, and she glues anywhere from 10 to 30 eggs onto its abdomen, and then she lets go. That's it. So the mosquito then
You're just minding your, I mean, not that I'm like on the mosquito side, but can you imagine just flying around?
Minding your business.
Grabs you from behind, slaps their baby onto your belly, and just lets you go. And you're expected.
Yeah, permanently slaps their baby onto you. And then just flies away. It's like you raise it and then just done.
Yeah.
Like you can't do it. And again, because it's a mosquito, right? It flies away completely unaware. It has no idea that it's just like,
a slightly heavier, probably.
Yeah, it's just a ride share, right? Because that's all it's doing is an unwilling Uber, let's say, because it's
another mom. Let's be real, because she also must specifically be targeting female mosquitoes because they're the only ones that suck blood.
Yep.
So mom to mom.
Yeah.
She's like, it's your problem.
At least she leaves it with a trusted source. You know, like,
recognizes another
mom.
Giving it to anybody.
Yeah, right? She gives it to those female mosquitoes. So, but eventually the mosquito lands on a mammal to take its blood meal. Maybe a monkey, human, whatever. And this is where the story tends to take off. Well, what most people know is the body heat tells those botfly eggs they've reached their destination. It's just like a light switch where it's like, oh, this is where I need to jump off at. And the warmth immediately triggers them to hatch, like almost immediately. Tiny larvae then emerge from the eggs and quickly make their way into the skin. Sometimes they enter through the mosquito's bite wound, sometimes through a nearby hair follicle, or even another tiny opening in the skin. So it does not take much. Now, after that, so after it's in there, congratulations, you now have a tenant living in you. And once it's under your skin, right? Once it gets under your skin, it settles in and starts growing. Now, before anybody imagines some horror story that they're eating you alive, it's not really what's happening, but it's still pretty gross because the larva,
disgusting. I don't care what
gross.
it's doing in there.
Right. So the larva mostly feeds on tissue, fluids, and secretions, not large amounts of blood or anything like that, but still. And it has actually evolved not to seriously harm its host because it needs it, right? Why would it? So from the botfly's perspective, a healthy host is much better than nursing a sick one. So it'll stay there for the next 4 to 10 weeks. And during that time, most people develop what looks like a painful insect bite or boil. It may itch, it can drain fluid, and that's where the symptom immediately is like, hey, something is wrong here.
Because nobody has a bite for that long.
Yeah, a bite for that long, and people are like, I can feel it moving. Like, not moving, but you know how you have a sensation
I would
where you're
literally
like,
cut it open. There's no way.
Right?
I could
Me
not.
too. I couldn't. So the larva catches a tiny breathing hole in your skin so it can stick one end of its body up to the surface to breathe, which I think is freaking worse. Because it installs a breathing hole. So not only do you have this big,
like a little reed coming out of the water.
Yeah, right? So it's not visiting anymore. It's making home improvements and setting up shop. It doesn't have a plan to move out anywhere.
Gross.
Yep. And so because evolution apparently wanted to make this plan work, the larvae are covered in tiny backward-facing spines. And those little spines act like anchors, helping it stay in place and making it surprisingly difficult to just simply pull out because you can't. So, and from their perspective, that's pretty darn smart. So eventually that botfly, though, has accomplished everything it came to do. It's grown, it's developed, it's officially overstayed its welcome. So one day, the fully grown larva simply crawls back out through that little breathing hole, drops to the ground, buries itself in the soil, and from there, it forms a protective case called a pupa and begins transforming into the adult fly. A few weeks later, pops out brand new botfly, ready to find a mate, and here we go all over again. So it's totally disgusting. But despite everything I've just said, botflies are actually pretty remarkable and studied very well. One, it's studied because people don't want to have it in them. But
never get botflies. Yeah.
Right? But one of the reasons why scientists find them so fascinating is because they've evolved this strategy that while it is horrifying and gross to us, it is surprisingly sophisticated. Because a botfly larva usually they don't want to seriously injure or kill a healthy host. Because again, if your nursery dies, that's bad for business. You're going to die. So it's evolved to quietly develop under the skin, get what it needs, and leave. Like, we notice it because we have intelligence, but on a mammal in the wild, like, they're not going to...
Itchy.
It's going to be itchy, and that's it. So from an evolutionary standpoint, for them, it is pretty... It's pretty smart and pretty keen because it can keep doing it again and again and again, and it continues its life cycle and the genetics of it. And so for the most part, it's pretty well done. So
I wonder how many get infected though after it's come out. I wonder if
what do you mean?
like
Like the wound?
after it, yeah, right. After it comes out and it doesn't care about you as a host anymore, are you more prone to getting an infection through the exit hole?
I mean, I think it would be just as much as it would be any open, you know what I mean, like open wound.
Right, any open wound.
Yeah. So I think it would be the same probability there, but yeah, don't look up botflies. Don't Google image that. It's so disgusting. Anyway, botflies, human botflies.
I'd do without them.
Me too.
I don't care how sophisticated.
No, don't. I cannot see a purpose for something like that in the wild. None.
Yeah.
Nada.
I mean, something else we could surely fill that role. With being food for something
promise
else.
you. Exactly. I promise you.
Speaking of a gross insect, brown marmorated stink bugs. Could do without them.
Yep.
So again, a little bit of background. They're originally from East Asia, but they came to the United States. So for all of our United States listeners, most of us know what stink bugs are. And we're not even like, if you just say stink bug, this is the one you're picturing, even though there's lots of kinds. From East Asia to the US in the mid-90s, and they're now found in 38 states and DC. The adults are shaped like a brown shield, about the size of a dime, and you can tell what type of this type of stink bug because it has a bit of banding, like dark bands around its antenna and around the edges of its abdomen.
When did you say it got here?
Mid-90s.
See, because I guess
it just didn't really become a big major problem until later.
Because I remember we were in college and I would go and I went back home and my parents were like, oh, this is a thing. And then in Ohio, they started appearing, but then we moved down south and they, you know what I mean? It's almost like we got out of that area before it got big, but that would have been like, I don't know. I graduated college in 2011. So something like that. Okay. I mean, it takes a while for bugs to move, right? So
right, depending on where they got started.
Yeah.
The nymphs are also different, like any kind of bug. Nymphs are first red and then turn black and yellow and then turn brown. So they look pretty different, but they're all kind of shield shaped.
Yeah.
So why they can all just die? So significant crop damage in the mid-Atlantic, which is where these things are a problem. Where Katy and I are from. Yeah. So they have mouths that are made for piercing and sucking. Gross. They release a digestive enzyme that liquefies fruit around the mouth part, making it easier to suck up, but leaving these necrotized or dead areas on the fruit.
Yeah.
They feed on fruit, making it unmarketable. So it's hard to sell because it looks gross. Yeah. And sometimes even unusable for processed products. Even like applesauce. You can't use it if it's too much of the apple's just dead. They also feed on vegetables and field crops. And they'll hang out on grapes so that when juice and wine are being made, they're gathered up, crushed into a bazillion pieces in the process, and then just destroy perfectly good wine and juice with their nasty little bodies.
This is why invasive species is so bad, guys. This is why invasive species are
it's ruining our wine.
Bad. Yeah. Right? That's talk about serious things there. Yeah. Coffee and wine, don't mess with it. Us millennial women are coming for you.
Coming for you.
We will save the pygmy raccoons that we are coming for you, stink bugs. Like, done. That needs to be our campaign.
100%. Pygmy raccoons, day 1. Marmorated stink bugs, dead day 2. Yes. So they're ruining our wine. That's terrible. And I can 100% vouch. They taste terrible because I accidentally ate one in chocolate milk once. And it tasted just as bad as it smells.
Yeah, the smell. I can't even... Do you go into the smell at all? Like what it is?
For a hot second, yeah.
Okay. Because I can't even describe describe it really. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah. Well, so one, major crop damage, which is economic and stuff. And then just, they're
Disasters, yeah.
such a freaking pest. They
Yeah.
don't like the cold, so they decide to just come on in early in the fall. And they
Mhm.
can literally enter by hundreds or thousands of stink bugs into your dwelling.
That's
They seem like they can be found anywhere. They're like in the cracks of your couch, in your
ugh.
window sills, like everywhere.
We would always, my parents, whenever I would go home from Ohio back home, it was every winter, the attic.
Yeah, because coming
Like,
in
it
the
was
fall. And then,
Yep, and it was hanging out in the attic. And so every time we'd open up, it's catch and you don't want to smash them, but you want to catch them.
Right.
And then, yeah, because it's so, it smells
And
so
then people
bad.
are like, oh, you know what we should just do? There's so many. Let's just vacuum them up. Don't do it. If you try and suck them up with a vacuum, it will make your vacuum smell. And then the exhaust from the vacuum will pump out that smell.
Yeah, and you can't get, you like cannot get rid of it too.
And
Like, it's
what
stuck.
it is they're secreting a waxy substance, which makes sense that it doesn't get out of things because wax, you know, it's hard to
Yeah.
get out. Wax is so hard to get out of anything since it's hydrophobic.
Yeah.
They secrete a waxy substance from their thorax that makes them smell and taste awful. And so the only way to stop them is to just seal up your house because otherwise they're coming in.
Yeah.
So
Because at this point, they're everywhere. They are like up there. Like, thank
and because
God.
they don't really have natural predators because
No, who the
they
heck wants
taste
to eat
bad.
them? Yeah,
Right,
and
nothing wants
they're
to eat that.
invasive. They're invasive though. It's like nothing in
things
our
were made to eat them
ecosystems.
in East Asia. Things were not made to eat them here.
Yeah. What I wonder what
So
eats them over there though.
I don't probably some bird that doesn't have taste buds.
Yeah, or good smell.
You know what I mean?
Olfactory.
Yeah.
Zero. So no vultures.
Definitely some bird. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be some bird. All right. I guess if we're talking about senses, here we go on to the next one.
Ooh,
Laura.
good transition.
All right, there we go. Laura, let me ask you a question. What's the worst place a parasite could live?
I mean,
For you, what's the worst
for
place?
me personally.
We've already talked about under your skin.
Yeah. I think it'd be a tie between my urethra and my eyeball.
Okay, close. How about your mouth? Okay.
Okay, that'd be pretty gross too.
Yep, right. So it's pretty bad. But this parasite doesn't just live in your mouth, it becomes part of you too.
Oh, stop. Is this the fish one?
Yes. So today,
Do not.
is that Diggles?
Yeah, he was going to jump up again and claw me to
I figured
death.
it wasn't Alora.
Do
Don't
not.
do that. Do not do that. Do not do that, child. All right. All right, so today we're going to talk about the tongue-eating louse, an animal that somehow took one look at evolution and was like, you know what? I think I'll become a tongue today, which is like,
yes, that's the craziest decision.
that's just
I
like,
could do it better.
yeah, I think I could do that job. I could do that. That is the definition of somebody at work. It's like, I could do that. It's like, no, why? Why do you want to do that? It's like, I can do that.
What? Why?
Yeah, nobody. All right, so its scientific name is Cymotha exigua. No clue.
Okay.
But unfortunately, most people just call it the tongue-eating louse because that's a lot easier to say, but it's also a lot grosser. So before you start picturing a terrifying monster, it is actually pretty small. But to be fair, small is relative because I don't want anything this small in my mouth. Well, never mind. We're just
That's
gonna
true.
no, right? I mean, so most adults are only about 1 to 3 centimeters long, roughly the size
That is
of.
pretty tiny.
That is pretty tiny, roughly the size of your thumbnail. And the females are noticeably larger than the males, but overall, this isn't some giant creature, right?
Yeah, but probably if you're a fish, it seems freaking
If you're
huge.
a fish, yeah. So it is a crustacean. It is a crustacean, which means it's more closely related to crabs, shrimp, and even pill bugs, right? The little roly-polies and stuff. So technically, this thing is related to roly-polies that you pick up in your backyards, but it's way grosser and a lot further distance. So tongue-eating louse are found primarily in the Gulf of California and along parts of the eastern Pacific Ocean, where they parasitize a variety of marine fish, particularly snappers and drums. Why those two? Don't know.
Big? Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. So here's how the whole operation begins. The tongue-eating louse doesn't swim straight into the fish's mouth. That would be easy, right? Instead, it sneaks in through the gills, From there, it crawls its way into the fish's mouth until it reaches
Through
the
the back
tongue.
door. What a jerk.
Right? Sneaky. And at this
What a
point,
louse.
no, right?
Lousy.
What a louse. Yeah, that should be the insult anymore. What a louse. Like some backstabber. What a louse. What such a louse you are. So, but it goes in through the gills, it hits the tongue. And again, at this point, you're like, okay, another parasite. What's it going to do? Onto the cheek or something like that. But nope, it attaches itself to its tongue and begins feeding on the blood that's flowing through it. And over
My tongue's actually
time,
starting to hurt.
no, right? It's so bad. But over time, something incredible, but also deeply disturbing happens. By feeding on the blood supply, this parasite slowly cuts off circulation to the tongue. Without blood, the tongue begins to shrink. It just slowly withers away until eventually it just falls off.
Not the gangrene tongue.
No, right? But
You're
imagine
like, what did I just eat?
But also, it's like I feel like I'm forgetting something, and it's your tongue that you just wake up. What is happening? Because again, that's you think about if you wake up by yourself in the morning, right? The first thing you don't do is start. I don't vocally start talking to myself, and clearly, fish like how they're not going to know until they go to eat something, right? That is just like gone. So anyway. So you would think that that would be the end of the story, right? It just cuts off the tongue and there it goes. But that is where you're wrong. Just because the parasite got rid of the tongue, mission accomplished, that's not true because somehow it just keeps going. Because once that tongue is gone, the tongue-eating louse doesn't leave. It moves into that vacant spot, anchors itself onto the muscles at the base of the mouth, and then it becomes the fish's new tongue, which is
so insane. Can you imagine being
gross.
a fish friend and being like your bestie just like is like, just looking back at you.
Yeah, right. With two little I'm drawing that picture like like just
well, there's that's crazy. There's a movie called Kung Pao where the guy has a tongue that has a tongue. Like it's like a little person and it goes, I'm like, and it's a tongue doing that. Now that's all I'm picturing.
Oh, so gross. So now that the parasite has been promoted to tongue, it makes her, honestly, it is cool. Okay, take apart all the gross part. It is pretty cool.
That's how I felt about what was my first one? The frog, that hairy frog.
Yeah, it's
cool.
so disgusting, but it's cool, yeah. So as far as researchers know, the tongue-eating louse is the only known parasite that functionally replaces a whole organ. No other parasite, most of them either it's a mutual relationship, symbiotic relationship. It like takes, gives, and then it either moves on. Some of it, it does kill it, but it's not, hey, I'm going to stick around and I'm going to make myself useful while I'm around. It's not
I'm going to
normally
eat
like that.
Eat, but I'll also be your tongue.
Yeah, right? Why not? So now, after it is now its tongue. It's been successful. It just stays there. It's its job. The parasite remains attached inside the fish's mouth, sometimes for years. It feeds on a combination of blood, mucus, and bits of food that pass through the fish's mouth, while the fish just continues to live its life. Which, if you're a fish, you're just missing your tongue, but you still have the functionality of it. So it's kind of like...
Probably don't really have taste buds anyway.
Yeah. However, we're not done. So because the tongue-eating louse apparently has one more evolutionary plot twist, these parasites all begin life as males. So if a young louse enters a fish's mouth and just a random mouth and it discovers that there's already an adult female living there, it'll stay male. But if there's no female present, it changes the sex, becomes a female. And there are some fishes that'll do this, but again, sneaks through the gills, destroys the tongue, becomes the tongue, moves in permanently, and if necessary, it'll then change the sex to make sure that it can reproduce.
So then are they doing it in the fish's mouth?
So, and mate inside the fish's mouth. The females will carry hundreds of fertilized eggs in a brood pouch, and newly hatched juveniles are released directly into the open water, just like bleh, and just one day, all the babies come swimming out your mouth.
Oh my gosh, these poor fish.
Right?
The poor fish.
But at the same time, it's lose a tongue, get a tongue.
Yeah, lose a tongue, get a tongue. Maybe get to eat some of the eggs, I guess.
Yeah, right? Just, as long as you're okay with something
Joke's
banging it out in your mouth. Yeah.
Yes,
Also, you're just there in your mouth like, "Bah, chicka, wow, wow, chicka," and you're like, what is happening? Like, because you
My
can't
mouth is
see.
a den of iniquity.
Yeah, right. Just so gross. But despite everything, all of that grossness, scientists absolutely do really find this parasite interesting. Because again, like we said, from an evolutionary standpoint, it is pretty cool. This is another one like the botfly. I can 100% guarantee we could probably do without this thing. There's
Yeah.
no, the fish doesn't need a new tongue. The
It
fish's
has
tongue
a
works.
tongue.
It has
Perfectly
a tongue.
fine.
It works perfectly fine. And again,
Yeah.
it's not like these louse are the only thing that other fish can eat in the ocean.
The only tongue
They'll
in
be,
town.
yeah, right. Like they'll be fine, but it has evolved into keeping its host functioning while benefiting from one of the most unusual places. Because you got to think too,
Amazing.
whenever it reproduces, right? What's safer than in a fish's mouth? Because what's going to come in there and get you? Nothing. So it's not only making sure that it keeps the functionality to help its host, but it's also protected in there because it's like nothing's going to come in here and eat me. So I'm going to bang it out, have my babies in here, and then bleh, and then release it. So anyway, so yeah, scientists do
Okay.
find it pretty interesting. They do study it a good bit because it's the only parasite that we know of that functionally will replace an organ. So yeah. That there is, yeah, the tongue-eating louse, which I remember learning about this one, but I definitely don't remember
Oh, no. I mean, I
The-
just knew about it in passing on some
Yeah.
nature doc, but not
Yeah.
anything
the
about
extent of it. So gross.
it. Okay. So here's the one I'm going to catch heat for. Something I could do without. Sloths.
Okay, I mean,
Some people are like really into sloths, not me. Here's a little
yeah.
bit of natural history.
This is how I felt
Seven-
about the panda, and we talked about the panda.
Yeah.
And the things that shouldn't be alive was like panda koala.
Yeah.
We knew we were going to catch heat for it,
Yeah,
but yeah.
Worth it.
Continue.
There are 7
Worth it.
species across 2 families. There's 3-toed and 2-toed. That is just literally the number of super long claws on the front feet. They've been
Yep.
around for 64 million years, so whatever they figured out, they figured it out. They all live
Slow
within the rain.
stealth.
Yeah, they just go for it. All live within the rainforests of Central and South America. They have long arms, shaggy fur, and they're some shade of brown, with super tiny ears, a stubby tail, and a small snout. They're anywhere from 2 to 2.5 feet long, 8 to 17 pounds. 2-toed are bigger than 3-toed. They're herbivores, eating mostly leaves and fruit, and they have insanely slow metabolisms. So, that's a sloth, as if most of you didn't already know that.
That's a sloth.
That's a sloth in a nutshell. Why they're total creeps. So in 1749, when sloths were first described in scientific literature, I think the person summed it up very well, and they were labeled the lowest form of existence.
What an
So-
insult.
Yeah,
Ouch.
so scientists are like, F those guys.
Yeah, right.
So-
Dang.
I tend to agree. But no, the looks. Why I think they're creeps, number one, it's the looks.
It is the face,
3-toed?
yeah.
Have creepy face masks.
They do. Because it's always
Three-
like,
Yes, and
You
like
know what
they've
I
got
mean?
like the
Yeah.
eye. Yeah, it's
yeah, it's just,
3-toads also have 2 extra neck vertebrae that allow them to turn their heads almost all the way around.
Okay.
No
I
mammal
will
has any
say,
business doing that.
To me, anyway, the 2-toed are definitely cuter than the 3-toed.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah. Okay.
And the 3-toads are the ones with the extra vertebrae and the masks.
Oh,
Something
interesting.
about-
The 2-toed don't have the extra. I knew they had, obviously, they
Uh-uh.
don't have the mask, but I didn't know they didn't have the extra vertebrae,
Yeah,
too.
apparently it's just a 3-toed
Oh.
thing.
Interesting. I didn't know
Some-
that.
Something about their round head, lack of ears, and creepy smiles is just a little too close to human for me. But not
Okay.
close enough.
Okay.
Like
That's
it's
how
like
I feel
a
about
person in a
bonobos.
suit.
That's how
Yeah,
I feel
yeah,
about
yeah.
bonobos. Like, bonobos are just human enough that it freaks me out. Just so
yeah, no,
gross.
yeah, this is like somebody wearing a suit. And they have terrifying, rotting, peg-like teeth for ripping fruit. If any of you have ever seen inside a sloth mouth, they're usually brown.
Yeah.
Too just like,
Yeah,
and they have slasher claws.
they do.
No,
yeah.
they're not using them because they're sharp. They're using them to hang and dangle, but they look terrifying. And they move eerily slow, literally 1 mile per hour.
Yeah.
So their excuse for this is that they have terrible eyesight.
Their excuse for this. Those damn sloths can be moving faster. Just over there making excuses.
Making excuses for themselves is the fact that they have terrible eyesight, like they're almost completely blind in bright sun,
gonna
and
say-
are in fact colorblind.
You're dogging them so bad, and they're blind. They just have a severe handicaps, and Laura's over there. You guys suck. Like, just, it's just these poor sloths.
I didn't say it was gonna be PC. I just
They
said I don't like.
they can't even see you insulting them. They're like, who said that? Like, they have no clue.
Oh, they're creepy.
Ew.
I know. I know. And then they all also they move slow because they've evolved to eat leaves, which have very little
Yep.
calories and they take forever to digest. So no energy like dumb pandas.
Yes.
which we
Yes.
talked
If you guys haven't listened to our episode of what is
shouldn't
it?
be alive.
Yeah, things that shouldn't be alive. That is still one of my favorite
Love
ones.
that.
Talking about the
Yeah,
pandas and the
Talking about
koalas.
animals bragging on animals. That's a good
Yeah,
one.
dude, that was that whole thing. But yes, pandas should be extinct. The only reason why they're not is because of humans.
Well, but here's the thing, unlike dumb pandas and some other leaf-eating animals, most animals that eat leaves just eat a ton of them to make up for the calories, but not sloths because it takes them so long to digest. Their stomachs get full easily and they can't eat more before it's digested. So they're full
So
but starving.
stupid.
Full
Yeah,
but starving to death.
that would be
The
such a weird like
horrible existence.
feeling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Horrible
The only
existence.
way they survive is to have an insanely low metabolism. It is 40 to 74% of what it should be for their size of animal.
Odd.
And they sacrifice their ability to regulate their own body temperature like most warm-blooded animals so that they can have a slow metabolism. So they have giant fluctuations. They've essentially become cold-blooded
Yeah.
because they're so dumb to have evolved eating only leaves.
Right?
And they're also slow. So slow because they're blind, slow because of bad metabolisms, and slow because they dropped almost all of their muscle mass because it takes too much energy to maintain muscle. So they're like, they're so frail and feeble.
I wonder, okay, if you look at it from an evolution standpoint, right? I wonder what they're gonna become next. What besides gelatinous flesh goo, what else are you gonna be? Like, what are you gonna be next? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because how
Right,
else could
they
it get
were
worse?
Giant ground sloths, right?
Right?
Then
Yeah.
they went up into the trees, right?
And then they got lazy. What else are you gonna do?
Thank goodness their muscles are arranged in a specific way that actually gives them a lot of stamina for having basically no muscles. And their entire strategy and how they've lived 64 million years is that they go so slow that most predators don't even notice them.
Notice them, yeah.
Lucky predators.
Yeah,
right?
that's the only reason why like pandas are too dumb because they don't even freaking camouflage in.
Yeah.
And so like they should
these
just
guys
be
at least
dead.
camouflage. They just go so slow that they're like, nobody sees me. That's what my
yeah.
cat does when he's trying to be sneaky. So don't like it because they're creepy the way they look. Don't like it because they move eerily slow. Don't like it because they come down only once per week to use the bathroom, which is just disgusting.
Yeah.
And when I used to take care of sloths at the zoo, those nasty things would come down to the floor, pee all over themselves, and then climb back up just dripping. You know, just nasty. And they turn kind of feral when defending themselves. Like they look all innocent and slow until they have to defend themselves, and then they're like with their crazy.
That's how koalas are, because koalas, everybody's sweet, cute, cuddly koalas. No, they're actually pretty vicious whenever you get them going.
I specifically remember us doing that zoo class, and the guy who was in charge of the ambassador animals was like, if there's one animal you don't want to get bit by, it's a sloth. Because
I believe it.
It usually gets infected.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say, the infection of it. Ugh.
And I will never forget for the rest of my life that I was cleaning in a room. It was divided by a door with a glass window, and the sloth was out and about. And I'm cleaning, and I turned around, and all I hear is tink, tink, tink. And I look around, and that creeper is upside down with its slasher claws going tink, tink, against the window like a psychopath. I was like,
like a psychopath.
I guess it's kind of sad that the pygmy sloth is critically endangered, but
you're not going to hear Laura complaining about it.
Yeah, you're not going to hear me complain.
Yeah.
Those sloths, I can do without them.
Poor sloths. Poor sloths.
All right, last one.
Last one. Have you ever walked in the ocean and wondered, I wonder what's underneath the sand? I know Laura hates the ocean, so you don't want to be thinking about that. The next one that I'm going to be talking about is the bobbit worm.
Another parasite?
No,
Okay,
not a.
okay. I was
But
like,
again,
okay, we all know we can do without parasites, Katy.
no, no. Listen, they're animals I could do without. And all of these I could do without. This one's another one I could do without. This one isn't as well. Let's get into it. Okay, the bobbit worm's scientific name is Eunice aphrodisitis. Close enough. And it's a marine segmented worm called a polychaete. Now, segmented means its body is made up of a lot of repeated sections, right? Almost like someone built a worm out of like Lego pieces, right?
Yeah. It's just body, like, repeat.
Yep. And each of those little segments have tiny bristles along the sides that help it to crawl, dig, anchor itself in the sand, etc. So they're found primarily throughout the Indo-Pacific, where they spend almost their entire lives buried beneath the sand or the muddy floors. And when I say buried, like almost the entire worm is hidden underground. Usually the only thing sticking out is its head, which somehow I would say, to me anyway, makes the whole situation worse. So if you were looking up one up close, you might actually think it was kind of beautiful because they do look kind of cool. Like many bobbit worms, they have like an iridescent body shine to it, and it shimmers metallic like greens, purples, blues.
Oh,
So
yeah,
it-
okay.
It can be pretty cool. They also have 5 antennae that help them sense what's happening around them. So for the most part, it's a really impressive looking animal. And then you notice the jaws. So those powerful scissor-like jaws are tucked just beneath the sand, waiting patiently for something to swim just a little too close and at this point,
Friggin'
done.
dune worm.
No, right? No, it very much so is. Now, the bobbit worms that people encounter are nowhere near this size, but some scientists have reported that it can approach 10 feet long, which is
But that's
nuts.
terrifying.
That is terrifying. Yeah, because again, like, why? What are you doing with 10 feet of worm? Like, why do you need to
'cause
be?
how big's your mouth? Why would you need to be that
Like,
long?
Yeah, teeny,
Yeah,
tiny.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is it
So
wrestling?
anyway, that's just it's gotta be big. I mean, just keeps adding segments. It's just like, let's see how long I can get.
Yeah, let's just see.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Most predators have to go looking for dinner. Lion chases zebra, shark hunts seals, eagle dives for fish. Bobbit worm, like I said, it doesn't chase anything. It doesn't patrol. It just doesn't stalk. It just waits.
Respect an ambush predator.
Yeah, right? Patience, something that I don't have. So, I mean,
100%. Me too.
you know, props to the bobbit worm. All
To
right?
the ambush predators.
Yeah, right. Perhaps that needs to be on a hat.
Also a t-shirt.
Props,
Yeah.
props to the ambush predators. That's a good one. It's just a shirt with all the ambush predators on it. I'm gonna draw
Snappy
that one.
turtle, tiger. Yeah.
All right. I'll think of that one. So in a fraction of a second, all right, the worm explodes out of the sand, grabbing its prey with a powerful jaw, drags it underneath before
Just a
the fish,
nightmare.
right? Before the fish even knows what happened, because it is freakishly fast, which for me
Yep.
is the creepy, terrifying part of it. So the large bobbit worms have been documented severing smaller fish or even leaving devastating injuries on much larger prey before dragging them underneath the sand, which makes sense because sometimes it just doesn't hit. For the most part, it hits right, but not all the time. So anyway, they can also cause a lot of damage. So for me, the surprising part is, as I was researching this, I started thinking, okay, well, at least they're like way out in the ocean, right? Psych, wrong. So
No.
I'll ruin that feeling for you because one of the most famous and happens quite often enough of bobbit worm stories doesn't happen in the wild. It happens in people's aquariums. So many saltwater aquariums are built using something called live rock. So they're pieces of natural reef covered in beneficial bacteria and tiny marine organisms that help create a healthy ecosystem, right? Because saltwater tanks are very tricky.
Yeah.
Every now and then, though, that rock arrives with basically an unexpected passenger, a tiny bobbit worm. Nobody notices. The aquarium gets set up. Everything looks great. Weeks go by, sometimes
Fish
months,
start disappearing.
sometimes even years.
Yeah.
Yep. And then fish start disappearing. All right. So people are like, this is strange. One bite or one fish gone, another fish gone. maybe a shrimp, something else just vanishes. Water quality is perfect. You know it's not that. Did it jump out of water? Nope. You can't figure it out. Meanwhile, that whole little monster is just living under your decorations in the tank, minding its own business. And so
Bananas.
eventually you catch it because, again, even if you're cleaning the tank, right? You figure because it has the beneficial bacteria on it, most of the time when you're cleaning saltwater tanks, you pull it out
Yeah,
for
you
one
don't clean
thing.
the bottom.
Exactly. Yeah. And because you need that healthy bacteria. So it can just hang out in there and just live for as long as it needs to. And in some cases, hobbyists have discovered bobbit worms that had been living hidden under their aquariums for years, growing to several feet long before anybody even realizes that they're there.
Gosh.
So now
Until
I
their
just
finger
don't,
gets taken off.
right? So now I was like, okay, well, don't trust sand because you have no idea what the heck could be a freaking bobbit worm in there. Just crazy. So, but
If you're
why,
unlocked.
right? So scientists, why do they love them? Despite the fact that you never want to meet one, bobbit worms are pretty cool animals. They're not mindless monsters lurking in the sand. People knock off a lot of worms. They're just like, oh, it's a worm.
There are
whatever.
monsters looking in the sand. They're just not mindless.
Yeah, they're not, yeah, right. They think
They are
they're
monsters.
they're intentionally coming for you.
Yeah.
So
Let's not give them too much cred.
yeah, right. So, but they help keep reef ecosystems in balance by controlling populations of fish and other animals. And when prey isn't completely consumed, those leftovers become other food for other organisms. And so, unlike the other two, the parasites, this one, it has at least the ecosystem, I guess we could say, do without it. Probably. However, it's kind of convenient that it goes up and it either eats it. If it doesn't get the whole thing, then it's pieces of it and other things get to eat. So it is pretty cool.
It's
And it
doing
is,
some stuff.
yeah, and it is an ambush predator. It's been around for millions of years. So clearly it's survived doing this, for a reason. It's gotten away with it. It's beneficial. So it's kind of kept doing it. So anyway, that is a bobbit worm.
Do without it, but definitely that was the coolest one of your three.
That was cool. Yeah, the other ones are just disgusting. But
Gross.
it's still,
Gross.
bobbit worm, still, I'm like, no thanks.
Yeah.
Could do without it. The ecosystem could probably do without it.
Exactly like the sloth. The sloth is probably beneficial to the ecosystem. I just personally could do without it.
I feel
It's
like
a lot of food. There's a lot of biomass that a lot of things are eating sloths.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I feel like it would adjust. All right, guys, that's everything for this episode. Next week we continue with another mini episode. Until then, make sure you check us out on Instagram on Wildly Katy and Laura, or Wildly.Laura.
Yep.
not. And then if you can support us on Patreon, it helps keep all of this going so we can keep bringing you all of this content. And so go support us there. And I've been doing and posting long videos on there too of all my birding stuff. So go check that out. Until then, we will talk to you guys next week.
Yeah.